for joining us today. I had to hit the little button. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Suzanne and Anna, for inviting me to do this today. I'm going to go ahead and just jump in here. I'm going to show some pieces that I've been working on, what's inspired me to do these pieces, and a little bit about the techniques. And I put out a study so you would have something to kind of follow along or take notes with, and it's in regard to this piece right here. And I'll hold it up. And so we're going to talk about doing a little bit of painting with the terpenoid. It makes it more like a watercolor, moves the paint freely, but it will dry, so it will not run in the kiln. So I like that advantage. We'll also talk about floating the luster over the top of the piece. I put luster over my China paint. My paint's fired in, but I put it over the subject matter as well. And that gives a different kind of a sheen, a different iridized to it. And I like that look. Then we'll talk about the crackle. I like things to look a little bit distressed and crackled. And I like antiques. And so that's kind of inspired me there. And then of course the gold leaf, and the gold leaf, if you can see a little bit of the shine, I will show that as well. That is fired as well. And I like working with gold leaf. I like the effects that it gives you. So with that, I just wanted to share a piece of Zolnay that I found antiquing on a sister weekend. We were out hitting the antique stores, and we found a piece of Zolnay china. And I love the luster in this bowl and the matte sheen in the blues, but on the inside it's very shiny. So I thought, okay, I like this. I think we can achieve this effect with the china paint fired in, and give that a go. So that started me painting the flowers on this face here. I know it's hard to photograph, but if you can see a little bit of the sheen with the iridize of the luster over this was china painted and fired, and then I put the lusters over it, and it's a yellow luster, yellow iris, and pearl, blue-green pearl luster. And I resisted the flowers, the ones that I wanted to, stand out more, but I have applied luster over leaves and so forth. So they're pushed more into the background, and you can kind of see a little bit. These are so pretty in person. Anyway, what I'm going to do on this piece, to finish it, I'll put some gold leaf accents and so forth on it in areas. This is another piece I was working on, and I did luster over the whole piece, and then I also did the crackle over it to add a little bit. I thought this looked a little bit like mosaic, little pebbles, mosaic pebbles. So that was a lot of fun. And what I did is the blue, green, yellow, apple green, those are the three. Well, let me start over. Yellow iris, turquoise, and apple green are my favorite luster colors. And of course the brown, the Rembrandt brown. I use the Rembrandt brown for the crackle, but I'll go over that a little more thoroughly for you. But I just wanted you to kind of see what I've been doing with the pieces. So here's Zolnay. We have our distributor. We have the ability to get Zolnay pieces in white china. And of course, I decided nothing better to do than luster on it. And so that's what this piece has, is luster. And it also has gold leaf. This is gold leaf in this area here. So I'll be showing how you can add that to pieces for a little sparkle. I like working with gold leaf because it's a little more distressed looking, and I like that it's not solid. per se. You can put it on solid, but I like it distressed. This piece here, I painted very loose and wet with the Turpenoid. I don't know if you can see the leaves, how it looks watercolory, very wet. And it sets up so you can fire it in the kiln and it won't run. So what I did then is put the luster on the background. This is gold leaf in this area right here, a little bit of gold leaf. And so this area here was China painted, and I did a basket weave wipeout. So the shiny China versus the matte China gave the different iridize there. So there's that. All right, and there's one more piece.
Stephanie, there was a question on where you buy your gold leaf.
Oh, Jerry's. Unmute. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I can't hear you guys. Okay. You can hear me. All right. So this is the gold, and it comes on sheets, and I'll show how to apply the gold leaf. Some of you may have already done it on other things, but it can be fired in the kiln. So that's that. This is another piece that I was working on, where I have the lusters in the background. This is the turquoise and the yellow, and it's over the China painted background as well. And so it just gives it more dimension when you put the luster over some of your painted areas. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll get started here with the Turpenoid. I have a little bit in a jar. It's Turpenoid natural. This is what I use. And oftentimes I'll mix it with a little bit of turpentine as well in the little jar. I use a closed medium to paint with. This is Dallas closed medium that I put in my little bottle, and I squirt it here. I condition my brush with the oil and blot it out. And I go ahead and I'll load my brush in this. I pick up just a little bit, work it in a little, and then I'll load. I wanted to talk for a minute about the tracing. I typically don't trace when I paint. I get inspired to go ahead and paint, and I oftentimes just sit and start painting, but I made the line drawing for the study. But I just wanted to say, if you do make a line drawing and you put it on the acetate, you can create more pattern by flipping it over and moving it around, so you can add elements to your line design with your own work, your own line drawing, and that's kind of nice to do. So with that, I have a tracing on here, and I started painting up here. When you work with this, and before you fire, you want to make sure that it has a matte sheen, that it's evaporated and dried. It still smudges, it'll still wipe off, but it will not run in the kiln. So that's what I like about painting with the Turpenoid natural and a little bit of turpentine as well, is that it moves the paint freely so that you can have more fun quickly. You can get that creative energy out and onto your piece of china. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wipe this off here. We're not going to take time to paint, you know, the whole study and so forth. I'm just going to demonstrate so you folks can, you know, work with the study on your own if you wish. All right, so to get started, I'll just take a brush here and if you can see, I've got my paint. I have a yellow, a green, and a turquoise. I have a rosy pink, and I have some brown. And I loaded up pretty soupy. I'll even double load colors. So if I was doing a leaf, I could very quickly get one on here. And then I can even pick up a little bit of this green, and so I don't know if you can everybody see how wet that looks? It's a lot of fun to paint quickly and wet. And you get, let me pick up some brown. I think you might be able to see this color a little bit better in the video, but you can paint I find it's liberating. Instead of trying to stroke on dry paint and I struggle getting dry paint on, having it move for me. I find this is a lot of fun. I just get a kick out of doing this with the Turpenoid natural because it does evaporate, but you can get your color. It looks like watercolor, and I'm just kind of dabbing some in here to give you an idea. Let's pick up, and I'm a messy painter. I'm a sloppy painter. I don't always clean my brush when I go from one color to another because I like you know, the other colors and values that it picks up. But let's do let's see how we can get. You can use your fingers as well. I love using my fingers to move the paint. But just these little simple strokes. So that's basically what I'm showing here today, is how to move the paint with the Turpenoid. It's a lot of fun. So let's say I want to pull my background out a little bit here, or some background strokes. Just very loose and free. You can also get a lot of background on quickly, very wet. But the background, this part here, I would go ahead, I'd fire it in, and then whatever my subject matter is, like the Lenten rose or the hellebore, I would resist that, but I would only resist here it is. I would resist only the specific things that I want just to stand out. So here's a sample tile. So this has been painted and fired. I've resisted the main leaves and little bud on this little tile that I would want to maintain the color, not have any luster on per se. But all these flowers here in the background, I'm going to go ahead and let the luster fall on top of all of that. And give that way, where I have shiny china, I'll have the shiny iridized, but where I have the fired on china, I'll have more of a matte sheen. So it, you know, I get these effects where you have the shiny china, and then you also have that beautiful matte, that soft sheen. And I love that look. So what I'll do, I'll set that aside. And with that, so let's say we've got our piece painted, and we're going to fire. I typically fire 017, 018, take it out of the kiln, sand it a little bit. And then what we'll do now, I'll do a little bit of the luster flow over the top of this. And I found this wonderful little tool. Let me get my setup here and move this over. And so with this, I had to have some paper towels down because I get really messy when I do luster work. So with that, I found these wonderful little spritz bottles, and I'll hold this up. You can find these at the craft store. They're misters, but they're fine misters, and they moved the luster beautifully. It doesn't give you hard spray splatters. This is a fine mist. And so I put turpentine in the little mister. And when I'm working on a vase, such as these, they're big, and you've got to work fairly quickly. I have a small piece here I can put on my hand, but I'll mist the whole piece, just crazy wet. It's just running with turpentine. Because when I get the luster on it, I need that luster to flow. I need it to move. I don't want to have my finger marks, swirls showing. I want it to just break, where it all blends into each other. I'll do 3 colors at a time, and they just merge, and it's like just a sheen, a solid wet. And then I'll sit and hold it, and vase in one hand and a glass of champagne in the other, and we just kind of spin it and turn it this way, it'll run, and turn it this way, turn it this way, and I just keep rotating the piece. And it, it could be maybe 20 minutes. It depends on your area and how much humidity you have, how quickly your lusters are going to dry. So it can take about 20 minutes to a half hour where I'm holding my piece and turning it to get the effects. But while we've got this flat tile, it'll be very simple. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and I will spritz it and get it pretty wet. That way, and I can always add more. So with that, I'll go ahead and add. I start out with yellow first. And so I've got my iris, it's yellow pearl, it's an iris yellow. I'll start out with this first. Let me get that, there we go. And get that moving. And I probably got a little bit too much, but that's okay. That's all right. So I get this. See, I don't want to have this kind of look where it's all, I want it to look matte, or not matte, but solid. So I'm going to go ahead and spritz it a little bit more. There we go. Now I'm getting some good flow. That's some good flow. I know I'm dripping. I'm messy when I do this, but it's a lot of fun. And I'll go ahead and I'll introduce, and actually that would be okay with the yellow. It would be perfectly fine to go ahead and let that evaporate and dry, and then pull off the resist. But what I'll do, I'll put a little bit of turquoise on here and get that out of here. I don't worry so much about contamination because I'm always mixing all my colors anyway. But it's a good thing to keep things clean. All right, let me get the lids back on so I don't spill. Okay, so I've got some of this turquoise in here and I want to get that flowing. So with that, there we go. There we go. Now you can see it's a yellow. The turquoise is more of that yellow color, but I'm going to go ahead now. I'm just going to let it. Damn it. So you can just imagine if I had a big vase, I'd be flipping and turning and rolling. And if it looks like it was getting too tacky and not flowing and getting a heavy buildup, because if it builds up too heavy, it will burn off. So you really want that nice, well, a level, no big goobers.
I don't know how to get back there.
If it's not moving for you, this little mister is awesome. You can spritz it and it doesn't leave spots. It just mists it. They're wonderful. These are wonderful little tools. So there we go. I think I've got it. I've got a nice corner of turquoise and it's over the flower. I've got some beautiful yellow over here. If you have too much, you can tap it.
I don't know where to go.
There we go. So that would be it. I'm going to let that set up and cure. Okay, so with that, pulling it out of the kiln, if you can see, the sheen. There's some rainbow here. There's a little more shiny up here. But this would be the piece. So you can see these are in the background. They were lustered over. The only resisted were the main one, the bud, and a couple leaves. So you can kind of get an idea. And so what I do from here is to get this crackle effect, that's where I'll put on the Rembrandt brown
I don't know where I lost
and
it.
let it dry. And then we have marbleizing liquid. And we used to buy this, oh gosh, it was National Art Craft, and I don't believe they carry this anymore. And this is from my stash that I've had for years. But it's what it does is the goal is after you put it on, it makes your piece crackle. This is what I took a picture of my sample that I did before I fired it, and it's quite scary because your piece looks like this going in the kill, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I've ruined my piece. Well, we'll know in the morning. But when it comes out of the kill, this is what it looks like. It has this crackle. It looks like little mosaic pieces. Which is, you can see it a little bit better here on this one. So I'll go ahead. Now, this has to set up before you can put the crackle on it. So we'll see how we do. We may have to set it aside for a minute. But you would put the brown, I like brown, Rembrandt brown or caramel brown, and I stroke this on. It's just a really thin layer. There we go. Now we're getting it. And I'll go different directions with it. So I'd have to work fairly quickly to get it all over a big vase before it dries. Okay. If I get it on thin enough, I think we'll dry and I'll be able to show the crackle. You can watch it crackle before your eyes. It's just so much fun. You can hit it with a hair dryer too, and that'll speed it up, and that's kind of fun. I'm all about the process. I just enjoy playing. Okay, so we're gonna let that set up a bit before we put our crackle on top. So I'll let that sit for a minute. May have to come back to it fairly quickly. But let me set that there. We're going to go on to talk about the gold leaf now. This is really exciting. Playing with this stuff. I love it. You know what? I'll tell you, I paid, at the time I bought this, it was 25 sheets for $65. And this stuff goes a long way. And makes it more affordable than the other golds. But anyway, it's a beautiful sheen, I think. But this is a sheet. It comes on a sheet, so it's easy to handle. If you buy it and it's not on the sheet, then you've got to pick it up with a brush, a soft brush, and boy, then it's flying everywhere. So I really like it on these sheets. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the part number here, so you know which one, because if you go to Jerry's Artorama, do the search and put in gold leaf, you're going to get pages of gold leaf. There are so many different kinds of gold leaf, but this one that I found works beautifully. I'll give you the number. Get ready, get your pen, get ready. It's 0056821, and just put that in, and it's 23 karat. It's a book. They call this a book of patent gold leaf. Okay, so with this, you can use scissors, and if you have a smaller area you want to do and you don't want to manage a whole sheet and maybe waste it, you can cut these into little squares. And strips and so forth to handle them more easily. Like if you have a smaller area that you want to, you know, put it on a rim or something. So, but with that, I'll go ahead. We'll use this little piece here that I've already got. So we need to use the adhesive. So this is metal leaf adhesive, and it's the brand is Mona Lisa, and you can get this at any hobby store, Michael's. We have a Quality Art, so you can buy it there. It is it's a white glue, and this stuff is pretty potent as far as when it dries tacky, but it'll ruin your brush. So with that, you want to have some stripper, or I don't want to say stripper, paint stripper, but what you want is like lacquer thinner. But to soak your brush in to clean it. So you can get it out of your brush and continue to use it at, you know, a later date. All right, so with that, let's go ahead. I pick out areas as on this here. Let me see if I can show some of this. There's, what I did is I wanted to make my flower kind of come back up. And so I added the gold leaf around things to kind of make things pop in some areas in the background and so forth. So I put some in between as well. And I'll just go ahead and show you how paint with this. And you want it very thin. You don't want to see a big blob of white. So it's somewhat transparent. If you have a big blob of white glue, let's put a little bit like right in here. You probably won't be able to see a whole lot of it because it's clear. Maybe you can see with the sheen of it with it being wet. You can kind of, if you hold your piece up, you can see where you've painted it. But let's put a little here. And oh, I'd like this area here to have a little bit of gold leaf and make that pop back up. I'll put some in here. And put some here. You can refire this. It can take multiple firings. So you can always add more if you decide you don't have enough. Let's see. I wanted to do enough here to give you an idea of what it looks like putting it on as accents. All right, now I can see where it's a little bit heavy, so I'm going to stroke it down a little so that I can get this to dry. Okay, I think that'll work. And it dries pretty quick. It's tacky to the touch. You can tell. Okay, now I'm going to set that in my thinner so my brush won't solidify. And then with that, I can take the pieces of the gold leaf and lay it on here. I've got a fan going, it's so hot here. So let me lay that down. And you just rub and it will stick. I'm just going to pick up a whole sheet and do this so you folks can see. Get it on there. So I have a very soft dry brush, so I can pick up pieces if and you can just move it around so you don't waste it. What I like about this is the edges. You don't get hard edges. You can even sand it a little bit if you decide, oh, that's too hard an edge, too solid. I have my sander here, so I'll go ahead and do that, but we can pick up some of this. There we go. This where the sheet was solid, it went on a little bit solid for my liking. So are you able to see the sheen of the gold leaf? So with that, you can take your sander. The cool thing about the gold leaf too is it doesn't leave purple smudges. So you can clean it off with turpentine or the thinner if you have an area. You can also scratch it off. You can blend out the edges. You can't do this with liquid bright gold or the Roman gold. I mean, you'd be smearing it and leaving purple smudges everywhere. So to me, this just is more flexible. So with that, you can always add more as well, as long as it's still tacky. You can do more layering with this. So even if you sand it a little bit and distress it, you can come back and add more in areas. Okay. We're almost dry on the brown luster. Need to let it get a little bit tackier. So I'm going to go ahead and dust this off. And what you can do, if you have an area that you're thinking, well, this is, I kind of went over my flower a little bit here and I don't like that. I want to bring my flower petal back up. You can use a stick, the end of a brush, anything like that, and you can scrape it. And it will come right off and it doesn't leave purple residue. You can bring it back. So you can do a little bit of detailing with it. If you get it, if the glue got onto something you didn't want it there, you could come back and round out your petals and so forth if you wanted to, or you could even use the stripper here, and well, not stripper, I keep saying the stripper, but the thinner, the paint thinner, and you could even come back and use a brush and kind of stroke it out a little bit, and that might be a little bit easier, but you could change your outline a little bit should you want to. But so that's how I apply the gold leaf, and I would fire this at 018. And again, it can be painted over, lustered over, it can be refired. Yeah, it's just real versatile. I just think it's so pretty. It's such a pretty sheen of gold. But anyway, I hope you try it. It's pretty cool. And not quite as spendy. All right, so we've got our, let me put this away here so I don't spill it, but we've got our brown luster on this piece for the Crackle, and it's tacky. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go for it. This is a water-based Crackle, marbleizing Crackle, and let's go ahead and stroke some on, get some going. And with this, you want to work fairly quickly as well and do random strokes. If you go over the area, you know, keep stroking over the area, it will remove your luster. So you want to get it on there thin, quick. Okay. I think I got it. Oops, got a stroke. Oh, yeah, see there, I was lifting it. Okay, that looks good. It's going to start setting up here and and crackling here as it dries, but we'll put the lid back on that. So after it sets up here, it's going to look like this. And again, it's kind of scary to see your piece looking like this and going in the kiln, but it comes out and it's a lot lighter, and it does change the color of your luster as well, because it is, you know, antiquing that you're putting over it. But okay, so that basically is what I had to show as far as technique and steps. And so we can open it up for questions. That way I'll know what you're interested in, have questions about. I'm happy to elaborate a little bit more if there's anything that, you know, you're interested in. So
Stephanie,
take it away.
Stephanie, that was a fabulous presentation. No, everyone's been diligently taking notes and can't wait to try it out. If you would like to ask Stephanie a question, unmute yourself and can ask her a question. Igrod, you need to go ahead and mute yourself because you're not muted now, but you can go ahead and mute. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask her questions.
Okay. I wanted to ask you what Zolmate was, or Zolmade. I hadn't heard that name and how to spell it.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, Maryland, China has a lot of Zolmay vases for sale. And it is, get ready, ZS.
Okay. ZS, okay.
OL.
Okay.
NAY.
Okay.
This is made in Hungary. And if you do a search on the internet, oh my gosh, you will pull up the most beautiful pieces of China pottery. They have these beautiful glazes. It gives you goosebumps when you see these antique pieces. Anyway, I was so lucky to find this. This antique store was going out of business. It was sitting in a glass display case, huge. It was the only piece in there. I don't know if anybody knew what it was. I ran over to it and grabbed it. And my sister thought I was losing my mind. I go, it's a Zolmay. And she goes, well, lucky you. What's a Zolmay? Oh, look at this glaze, Robin. Anyway, it just gives me goosebumps. So, but Maryland, China, they have some of these. I hope they still have them in stock. So last I looked, they did. So anyway, they're certainly pretty. This is another one that I had started on with the lusters. This is the yellow and the apple green. But yeah, they're just cool pieces. We're lucky to have them. Lucky. So.
Anyone else have any questions?
Well, I think the questions I had were answered as Stephanie went along. So I'm good because she said the temperature that she fired the gold leaf.
Okay, awesome. And it's in the line, the study too that I provided. My tile is starting to craze. If I don't know, can you see it's starting to dry and it's starting to craze and crackle? Yeah, fun. Yeah. I just love this stuff.
Can I ask you, what is the close medium?
Okay, that is Dallas, China, is who I purchased that from. And so it's their closed medium. It dries versus an open medium that's going to stay wet. So
It's like fat oil?
set oil?
Fat.
Fat oil.
Fat oil. Oh, no, it's not fat oil. No, I imagine, well, you know what, I don't even want to venture to say because I don't know what they make it with. Yeah, but it's Dallas, China. And if you go to their website, it would be their closed medium.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there are no more questions, Stephanie, thank you so much for making this presentation. And we all learned a lot. So as I said, this will be loaded to the iPad Museum channel as soon as I sign off. And then it will be put tonight onto the iPadInc.org website. And I want to remind everyone to share it with your friends, even if they are not members of iPad, because it's free. You do not have to pay to see the Zoom presentation on the iPad website. So if you have some friends that would like to see it and you would like to share your art with them, they do not have to have a login number to see the Zoom lessons. I just wanted to remind everyone of that. Again, thank you, Stephanie, and I appreciate it so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.